Hey everybody, good Saturday morning to you. Brian here, aka Tops Vintage 11762. It's a sunny Florida morning here, getting ready to watch some college football today. Got to keep up with my team. But first I want to give a shout out to Baseball Collector and Mike for giving me a shout out on his channel. I know he's got a lot of subscribers, a lot of viewers, a lot of videos, and for him to take a few seconds to recognize me is really appreciate that, Mike. And I'm new to the YouTube community and channel, but I'm also back into collecting because of that channel and other channels out there that have given me the itch to collect again. I got some cards that I kept from when I was a kid back in the early 70s, but I'd like to continue from what I had from my last video where I showed just kind of a quick overview of some of my baseball cards that I had in binder. But these here, I got some football, baseball, and basketball. And I was smart enough, I guess, back then to not put them all in bicycle spokes, but some I kept in cardboard boxes and recently took them out. And I had about 5 weeks earlier this year off from work because of a government shutdown. And I got into my closet and organized some cards and gave me a good time to focus on that and pull out some cards I didn't know I had and put them in this binder here set for you. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go through it, hopefully a little quick. I don't make a long video of it, but just to give you an idea of some of the cards I have that I kept from back in the 70s. So we'll get to it. These cards here, you can see some of the colors on them that I really like. They're hard to get in good shape. They're similar to those 71 baseball cards because they have that solid border around them. So, chipping and soft corners are, they're just hard to get. But some of the people that stars that I collected back then and followed a lot, you got your Bradshaws, your Stars, your Unitas, Mean Joe Green. And then in the next year, I was a big Redskin fan. I had a lot of knew everybody on their team and everything pretty much. I know Billy Kilmer wasn't the greatest of quarterbacks. He was known for that wobbly spiral he always threw. But for some reason, I was always just a big Redskins fan. And then I found some cards in my collection that guys I'd never even heard of, But according to some PSA books that I looked at and price studies, it showed that some of these cards were actually kind of valuable because the rarity of them. They weren't as many out there that they made. And so I put a lot of those in my binder here. And at the time I wasn't aware of the top loaders. So I'll probably be transferring a lot of these to top loaders to keep them in better condition. But right now I've put them in here, and you'll notice on a couple of these when I turn them over I got some prices on the back, and basically that's stuff that I had priced out from PSA, looking at PSA and eBay and kind of comparing them to some cards that I had graded. One of those cards that I had graded was a Franco Harris card, and back in the day everybody remembers the Immaculate Conception, but I had this card graded. It's only one of the 4 cards I even have graded. It was done about 2 months ago. I got it back. It came back as a 7. So when I was off earlier this year, I used this card and a couple others here that I had graded for my football and my baseball cards. And, by comparing them to what I have in my collection, then that kind of gave me an idea of, possibly what a price would be on some of these cards if I was to sell them or go to shows and whatnot. But anyways, that's part of the football collection. And then into the baseball collection, like I was showing last week, the 71 cards. I have quite a few of those. That's back when I was about 11 or 12 and I was really into collecting. I followed all baseball heavily. I could pretty much know everybody's stats, and of course now being older. I don't follow it quite as much, but I still follow my Cardinals. They're the team I like, and I had a lot of Cardinal cards. Bob Gibson was one guy I really liked. I got to meet him actually one time in St. Pete when we went over to watch some spring training. But anyways, I have the 71 cards, and I pulled out quite a few of those into this binder. Then the 72s, which I really like the color on these. A lot of them, they just came out really nice right out of the package. You know, they're pretty well centered. Pretty much the white borders make them look really sharp and clean. There's my Lou Brox, which I really liked watching him just run. He just, because I played baseball myself, and tried to emulate, you know, as a kid, we try to emulate some of these guys. And then further on into the cards that I have here, I've got the 73s coming up here in a second, but some more of these 72s. I had Harmon Killebrew was my uncle's favorite, and he lived up in New York there. He was a big Harmon Killebrew fan, I'd say, fanatic if you want to say. But anyways, and then on into some of the stars that I liked watching. And this is kind of a mixture of the cards because of the way I had it set up. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to organize these best. But these were just some of the guys that I like to follow and watch a lot. And then of course I got some more Cardinal greats here. Ted Simmons I always enjoyed watching. I thought he was one of the best catchers around in his day, but he was, you know, in competition with Johnny Bench and Thurman Munson and some others, so he didn't get a whole lot of notoriety, but I always thought he was one heck of a catcher, you know. And then further down back here, get into some of the Clemente cards that I have, some Jim Palmer, some of the Buccos winning the World Series, some more 74s, 73s, and then I had some of the cards that I've picked up recently, or not recently, but cards that I saw that I collected for some reason, I don't know, in the 80s. This Coca-Cola collection of Nolan Ryan I picked up, and then I had some Griffey cards and some Frank Thomas cards that I had in my collection, which I didn't know I had, which was interesting. You know, when you open up that box after so many years, you kind of don't remember what you had in there. So these were some nice surprises, and I took them out as well and put them in the binder to keep them in good condition. And then I don't know how many of you remember the old 3D cards that came out of the cereal boxes and everything. Those were pretty cool to have as well. And then finally back in here in to end the show here, I got same thing with the basketball cards I collected. Same years and everything. My Al Cinders, Oscar Robinsons, Elgin Baylors, Pete Maravich's, Tiny Archibald, Bob Lanier's, Will Chamberlain's, Earl to Pearl Monroe. And, you know, to be honest, I don't watch basketball at all anymore. Back then I did watch up until, you know, Bird and those guys, Magic Johnson, Jordan, and when they left the game, I kind of left the game too. But these guys I did enjoy watching back in the day. It was easy to follow because they kind of stayed with their teams. They didn't go running around different teams. Nowadays, a lot of the pros, they just go to a team for the money, and you kind of lose track of them. But anyways, that's another story. And but anyways, that's basically a short little video on some of the binders, cards that I have. And like I said, I'm going to get to the point where hopefully I can organize them even more. Again, I was just very inspired by some of the channels that I watch, getting some ideas and tips from them. And hopefully you enjoyed the show and a little bit of my collection there. And like I said in my last two videos, collect like you're a kid. Thanks again for watching.